Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Tuesday.
Things are weird on the internet this morning. I think still some intermittent issues for anybody who uses TELUS as a service provider. They were having some issues yesterday, known issues. The other thing, I was mistakenly connecting that and the fact that I can't really access our 100.5 Cruise FM Facebook page right now. Dawned on me that we're not the only radio station with a page on Facebook that has gone dark over the weekend, and it's because of this Bill C-18 business and the fight therein between Meta/Google on kind of different stages, but still the same battle, and the Canadian government saying, hey, you got to push Canadian news results to the top of your search engines and the top of your news feeds, and also pay them for that content. And Meta and Google basically saying, no, watch us not do that. It's weird. It took me too long to figure out, though, that our Facebook page has gone dark. So if you're wondering why you haven't seen that, haven't been able to access that, that does appear to be why. I'm not sure how we can appeal it because we're not really a news place, but we do have a news team. So how does that work? Is it a gray area? Is it just black and white? I don't know. I'm just worried that if we don't get access to our Facebook page soon enough, it's going to become a Spirit Halloween before we even realize it. In a day that we're questioning whether we still have a Facebook page or not for you to go to and check some funny stuff out. It might just be a while before we actually hear anything about that, just because I think that people are a little bit busy. Zuckerberg, especially with Musk, right? The misguided men of Meta and X. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Not very respectively, by the way. Just, fight already. Get to this whatever cage match, I guess. Just fight already, or make out, or exchange long strand protein chains and hydrate your lizard skin or something, right? Elon says it's happening and will be streamed on the bones of Twitter while raising funds for veterans. Okay, but not getting into any details about what charity. Who knows? Well, on what date? No idea. Mark certainly isn't sure, as he says that August 28th was his private pitch to Mr. Musk, but it has yet to be responded to. To be fair, maybe Musk is having as much trouble navigating X as, everyone else is right now. Benefit of the doubt. New Guns N' Roses, maybe. It's time to get into some music news headlines, and there is reportedly a single called Perhaps coming as early as next week. Previously unreleased, but they were sound checking the track when it came to a live performance just over the weekend. Interestingly, no official announcements or anything like that, but the eagle-eye people on the internet have found a link that showed up briefly on the Universal Music website that was indicating perhaps maybe you could pre-save the track on different services. I don't know. Keep your eyes out for it. Do have some sad news, however. We did lose Sinead O'Connor very recently, and a big tribute has now appeared on an Irish clifftop. That's kind of preceding her funeral in the streets of Bray, as people have been gathering in large numbers. And so this appeared, I guess, just moments before, or hours before the actual funeral service took place, and remains. With, no real plans, I think, to get rid of it anytime soon. It probably will linger there for quite some time. And speaking of losing people in music, maybe not quite as influential in the same way, but certainly had an influence, DJ Casper, who, if you don't know by name, you definitely know by the Cha-Cha Slide, is one of his hugest introductions into the music scene. He was diagnosed with cancer apparently in 2016 and has now succumbed to it at the age of 58.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruise FM.
Zoom, who we all really got acquainted with as soon as the pandemic really hit, and we needed to. Zoom just sneakily opened up every video call using the service to be mined for AI training purposes. Sounds super fun, right? That fine print. They've since added a setting, I guess, to choose whether or not certain information can be used for AI training. And they stated that no video, audio, or chat content would be used without customer consent. Okay, there we go. Sounds nice. Until you realize that accepting the terms of service, like we all do without ever reading through it ever, is giving a form of consent. So what are you saying yes to when you say, yeah, sure, yeah, click, let me just use it? Zoom is also forcing a pile of their remote staff to come back to the office, which makes almost zero sense. So I don't know, maybe just use one of the 32 other identical and sometimes free services. I don't know, the internet makes no sense today. More proof that we're living in a simulation has arrived. Oh, perfect. Thankfully not coming from a Canadian news source, because then I wouldn't know, right? We wouldn't have any access to it, unless we went direct to the source, but who does that, right? Cruiseradio.com, by the way. But no, the NASA and their latest and greatest telescope now able to take really stunning images of places we never were able to before, at least not at the same high resolution, has found a question mark shape out there in space. Yeah, and there's a bunch of theories abound, right? You know, maybe it's distant galaxies that are brand new or shifting into each other, cosmic pull of this force or that force. I don't know. But it's a question mark out in space, and kind of like one that looks like it might fit a certain font or two, you know what I mean? Like it has stylization to it. I find that weird. I find that very, very weird. Again, we do look for all kinds of patterns when there aren't patterns. Remember when there was a face on Mars, and then the planet kind of turned a little bit, and we saw it from a different angle with a different shadow, and went, yeah, it's a hill. Okay, cool. Probably that's what's going on here, but also probably everything's made up and it's a whole simulation. What do you think is going on? Tell me, what is the space question mark? Wrong answers only.
Wednesday.
Hey, stop listening to me. Phone, smart speaker, everything with a microphone and an internet connection. Stop it! Actually, don't. Hang on. If our devices are always listening to us and then kicking the various algorithms into hyperdrive and aggressively advertising things to us, why can't we make the invasion of privacy work for us instead, right? What I find is, and let me know if this is true for you, when I am actively searching for something, then it shows me the things that it wants to sell me, right? On the various different websites. I search for what I want, and it's like, actually, here, what about this instead? But when I'm passively talking about something, whether I want it or not, the systems seem to show me exactly what I was just talking about, the very item. You know? I wish I could give the smart speaker a little bit of like, you know what I could really use and would probably buy as a gift for friends if I could find it? Blank! Come on, help me out here. So AI could figure out your passwords just by listening to you type on a keyboard? Okay. Your accounts can apparently get hacked and jacked by simply having a recording of your keyboard sounds. Not that it happens very often, but it is a possibility. And this isn't even a super new technique. It's been a thing for some 20 years now, but the new part of the story is the AI part. So a group of computer scientists, they represent several universities, they got together to simulate a cyber attack, and what they used is AI to figure out passwords from sounds. And they were 93% accurate using Zoom video recordings, 95% accurate using a smartphone to record those sounds. Maybe not bringing the laptop to the coffee shop next time, right? No, do. But just, super fun that they're able to do that, as well as give the bad guys the ideas. But there are solutions already in place. Biometric, locks, or turn on your two-factor sign-ins. Probably like a really good idea. Green Day kicking us off. It is almost time for the 30-year anniversary of Dookie. One of the best albums. It was a staple when I was growing up. Now, they are looking at some anniversary plans. It's not in 2023. It's actually at the very beginning of next year that it turns 30, February 1st. And there's going to be some celebrations coming. They put out a hashtag Dookie30 and a tape deck photo, like not a cassette deck, like a reel-to-reel that I'm sure was actually used way back in the day to do some transferring and some dubbing. But it is still quite a ways off, so some formal news about what they're going to be doing, probably giving a re-release to the album, it will be coming soon. A iPod sold for $29,000 as well. A first generation, one of the very original ones with that old screen, but still able to hold a ton of songs, bought in 2001 as a Christmas gift that was never opened. Still in its original packaging, mint style, $29,000 US.
Thursday.
we need a boost to the theater etiquette again. And we need a crackdown on theater faux pas again, because it's getting bad again. At least that's my observation. I'm sure it kind of is shifting and different in all kinds of different places, but when we all go into that little theater room with the big screen and the speakers pumping stuff, just leave the phone alone. Just get every single time I've gone out to the movies lately, someone is on their phone in front of me, and for an extended amount of time. You can scroll TikTok later. You paid for this entertainment. You can go and jam other content into your eyeballs later. Checking a text is one thing, right? Seeing if a call is important, that's fine. That's on the level. I can just absolutely let go of that part of it. But if it is important, then you got to fully exit this dark movie box that you're currently in before answering. Most common pushback on this, of course, is people saying, well, I bought my ticket. I can do what I want. I'm like, yeah, but so did everyone else in this room. I don't know, look around, right? Every single one of those people, they did too. And if you insist on being on a device, whatever, cut all the sound and sit at the back. You're not even watching the movie anyway, so it doesn't matter what seats you're in. I find it just absolutely ridiculous. How long have we had phones? How long have we had cell phones before even smartphones? A while now. I think we can learn our lesson. Remember the giant rubber ball cages that they used to have? Giant rubber ball cages in stores, the kind that had those flexible bars to hold the balls in, and occasionally some kid who climbed in there to be one with the toy section. Yeah, not that occasionally, happened all the time. But the first one I can remember seeing was upstairs in Zellers down at the Peter Pan Mall when we had a Zellers there, and it was there for years. Like a staple of the experience on a visit. But they were in department stores, toy sections everywhere, from childhood all the way up to some point in my adult life, but then they seem to have just disappeared. One day. Just gone. Gone. Probably because of all the kids climbing in there, I have to assume, but I saw one, a very small one that is. The ones that I'm talking about from memory were like the 7-foot towers. This one, more like 2 feet, but a small one nonetheless, at a discount store last night, and I was transported back in time. The world has lost Robbie Robertson, a prolific guitarist and songwriter from Canada with Indigenous heritage and an absolutely staggering repertoire of songs that he's been involved in. A big collaborator with Bob Dylan, as well as a longtime collaborator with Martin Scorsese, the director, and a ton of tributes have already started pouring out. Of course, he only just passed away yesterday morning, but Bruce Springsteen already has paid some tribute to Robertson. He kicked off his U.S. tour, and he decided that the very final song of the performance would be a dedication. Opening night of the U.S. tour, final song of the night, and he was already giving his propers, as is absolutely, proper. We also saw a cool moment in the lives of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Full circle, they've had some bronze statues unveiled in Dartford, where they met back in 1961 when they were teenagers. Yeah, the Glimmer Twins is the title of these statues, and it really captures the movement of both of these characters. Richards shredding on the guitar, Mick Jagger doing what can only be described as prancing with his microphone, as he is wont to do. They actually look pretty cool, though I think up close, a little unsettling, especially Keith Richards' face as he's shredding guitar. I think he's had that face locked on his actual head for, I think, decades at this point.
Hey, Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
Twitter, not a thing anymore. It's become X, even though when you try to share it, it still says twitter.com in the URL. They're working on some stuff. Some interesting ideas. But there's now an auction, a sale of a bunch of Twitter memorabilia and things from those offices. I guess now the offices of X. And there's some weird stuff that is up for grabs. A lot of interesting things. Obviously, they're trying to recoup a little bit of cash, make some space at the offices. I don't know. There's paintings of Michelle and Barack Obama embracing. There's, of course, Twitter logos of all different kinds. Giant murals of blue with eyeballs staring at people. Okay, I can see why they wanted to get rid of that one. It's just staring at you all the time. All the time. Various different works of art incorporating the classic Twitter bird. All gotta go, right? It's all memories of a bygone era that you can now have as a piece of memorabilia for yourself. One of the weirdest things that they are selling to is cages. caught my eye. I was like, wait, cages? They have but you think about it, the bird motif, it's like a bird cage kind of thing. And they're selling them, so they won't even have those cages anymore. Presumably raising money to pay for the actual cages that are going in for the X offices. No, I'm afraid it's just not the case. No, Canadian news is not actually being censored. That's not the word. That's not what's going on. It's being omitted from Facebook, Instagram, and alongside that, Google searches. But you still have access. Unlimited access, essentially, unless there's a paywall on some certain site. In fact, you still have even faster access to breaking news. So just figure out turning on your notifications, right? And often, you don't even have to stomach the comments section if you don't want to. That is the beauty. That's the selling factor right there for me. Is Bill C-18 a good idea? Is blocking Canadian news on platforms a wise response to it? Jury's out, right? Come up with your own conclusion there. But what I do know is that your relationship with news content will be much better simply by just going right to the source. Download an app or two, set a few URLs as bookmarks. In the words of the folks on Letterkenny, figure it out, bud.
Friday.
You probably know already, it was a few days ago now, but the giant one, the Mega Millions down in the States was won. Not really sure who won. The rules of revealing who has won, or that being public knowledge, it's a little different in the United States and even, I think, different by state. But apparently the ticket that had the winning numbers was sold in Florida just on Tuesday of this week, and $1.5 billion was the win on that one, although they did have like 31 other just single $1 million wins. I would take it. I'd be happy with it. They had something like 43.7 million winners in total as well, but that does include the $1 and $2. But in Canada, there was another big draw that happened, but nobody has claimed, actually. Lotto Max in Ontario, ticket sold in Ontario anyway, for the $70 million draw has now been officially unclaimed. It's been declared as an unclaimed ticket, and I guess that means that, lottery's going to move on and everything. But the kicker is that nearly 3,000 people tried to say, hey, we had the winning ticket, but we lost it. Oh, no. Believe me. Trust me. We'll take the money. We'll do good things with it. No, you need to have the winning ticket in hand, right? Which is why I never win, because I never actually grab one. We do have news about the devastation in Maui. Mick Fleetwood, of course, of Fleetwood Mac fame, he had a restaurant and nightclub there that has now burned down in Maui, called Fleetwood on Front Street. And he is, of course, sad about that situation. His message was that the priority is the safety and priority of the staff and team members, and of course the loss is just part of what is being felt by the devastation across the island of Maui, and just hearts and thoughts going out all over the place. Noel Gallagher in the news because he says he would absolutely want to be in a supergroup with the surviving members of the Beatles. I mean, people do argue whether or not Paul is dead ever since the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band cover. But Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and Noel Gallagher. I don't know what you would call the supergroup, what the name of it is. The legendary band meant everything to him, and that he would do bleeping anything to be in a supergroup with them. He has actually played with Paul McCartney in the past, covering a Beatles song, Come Together, along with Paul Weller in 1995. He even joined a duet for Stella McCartney's 50th birthday party in 2021. So he has maintained connections. However, no official word whatsoever on whether this is a thing that can happen. If it does, I think the world would pay attention. The Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fight. Tired of waiting for this to even be a thing. Tired of hearing about it from the start, to be perfectly honest. But, I mean, if you're going to do it already. But Elon Musk not looking like such a reliable contender since they both agreed to stick him up and fight a while ago. There's been photos of both of them doing training, more so on Mark Zuckerberg's side. But then recently, Elon Musk saying, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm still in it though. I don't have a date in mind. We're going to do it for charity. I'm not going to run that by anybody else, but we're going to do it for charity. And also, I'm so busy. I don't have time to work out. So I'm just bringing weights to work and just kind of doing stuff there. And the latest thing is that he says now he wants to turn the fight into a debate instead of an actual boxing match or MMA match, whatever it was supposed to be. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to show up for that too, right? the bar just keeps getting shifted, right? It just keeps changing, and that's what makes me think it's just not ever going to happen, right? Elon Musk not living the most reliable life these days. But it does feel like, you ever out at the bar on some night where people have tied on a few and, the blood is flowing and people are ready to have a little fight. They want to do some fisticuffs. Oh, yeah. Except for that they don't. They actually don't. They just end up talking at each other, shouting at each other, circling each other, and then nothing ever happens. It's like that, but on like a global scale. Enough already. Put them up.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruise FM.